my goodness, this is rather interesting that Sue Bird has brought this up to Kelsey Mitchell in light of some of the drama from a couple of days ago when Stephanie White was very clear and there was no confusion looking at anybody out there, including people on YouTube, that may think that was misconstrued, even though Stephanie White is the one that said these things. And I'm not going to go after specific YouTubers because that's not what I do. But the idea that people weren't going to take her words literally.
Okay, so Stephanie White, the coach, she just dropped a bomb. She said Kelsey Mitchell was the team's top priority, no question. And let me tell you, that hit like a wrecking ball. The message was crystal clear, and it immediately put a spotlight on something nobody expected to be a big deal. Fans were honestly horrified watching this unfold because it felt like her vision for the Fever was basically sidelining the WNBA's biggest new star. This wasn't just some strategy. It felt like a declaration of war to fans who just wanted a generational talent to be the main focus. The reaction was brutal, immediate, and it totally kicked off this massive debate about player dynamics that would change everything for the team.
It was easy to see this coming, like clockwork really, because Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell complement each other, on the floor and off the floor. They complement each other on the floor as the most dangerous duo in the WNBA, the most fearsome backcourt. Clark's ability to control the game, shoot from deep, bring the defense out, dice you up with the passes, get to the cup. Kelsey Mitchell's ability to just score in microwave fashion, unstoppable, so fast, back cuts, getting up and down the floor, breaking you down off boogie moves. Together, it's essentially unstoppable. Even one or the other is unstoppable at times. So they
And wow, the drama just blew up after White said all that. People immediately pushed back hard. The coach kept insisting they had to build around Kelsey Mitchell. But honestly, that just baffled so many people. Like, how do you prioritize one player when you have a generational talent like Caitlin Clark on your team? This wasn't about building a team, it just felt like a deliberate move to sideline the player who had already changed the whole league. When you look at sports history, coaches always build around their superstars, not just a complementary piece. This really showed a huge difference in how they saw the game.
It's the building around Kelsey Mitchell that I took issue with, because you got a generational Jordan-like talent on this team in Caitlin Clark. The Bulls did not choose to build around Scottie Pippen. All right? Look, the Blazers weren't building around Terry Porter. They were building around Clyde Drexler. I mean, the Knicks weren't building around Anthony Mason or John Starks or Derek Harper. They were building around Patrick Ewing.
I mean, people were quick to point out all the legends. Think about it. The Bulls built around Michael Jordan, not Scottie Pippen. The Blazers focused on Clyde Drexler, not Terry Porter. Even the Celtics, with all their stars, built their dynasty around Larry Bird, not Kevin McHale. So why would the Indiana Fever seemingly not build around Caitlin Clark? This wasn't just some minor philosophical debate. It was a fundamental disagreement about how you build a team when you have a truly transcendent talent. The real surprise here wasn't any drama between players. It was the huge gap between what management said and what just made common sense for team building.
MVP Kelsey t-shirts, apparently her idea, right? Like that's all part of this. So these narratives that come into play are increasingly ridiculous, and increasingly, basically just fueled by nonsense. And Sue Bird had Kelsey Mitchell on her podcast. And basically, Sue talked to Kelsey about the setup for this was how difficult it is to deal with some of the narratives, because when you have a figure like Caitlin Clark who comes in, it is indeed so transformative, meaning, the entire dynamics of things can change as far as
adding and then adding even more fuel to this growing fire. Amber Cox, another big voice in the organization, publicly doubled down. She flat out confirmed that re-signing Kelsey Mitchell was, without a doubt, their top priority. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a totally logical thing to say about a star player heading into free agency. But coming right after Stephanie White's controversial comments, It sounded less like a regular update and more like they were just reinforcing a really questionable strategic move. Everyone, fans and analysts, started wondering if the Fever even understood the huge opportunity and responsibility they had with Caitlin Clark's unprecedented impact.
Coach.
In your locker room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think naturally, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad, people take to social media and abuse it for in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that
Covering basketball teams is now abusing.
But then, amidst all this chaos and public outcry, an unexpected and really important voice stepped up. Kelsey Mitchell herself. She went on Sue Bird's awesome Bird's Eye podcast and directly tackled all the weird stories flying around about the team and her relationship with Clark. Her comments painted a totally different picture than what everyone was talking about. No conflict, no ego clashes. She spoke really openly about how everyone needed time to adjust with Clark coming in, and her whole tone was just understanding and appreciation. There was no resentment or subtle digs. It completely flipped the script.
Who comes in, it is indeed so transformative, meaning, the entire dynamics of things can change as far as the amount of attention, what is being said. It's just yesterday is not the same as today when there is that kind of sea change. Here's what Kelsey Mitchell had to say in response, at least part.
that was big for everybody. Patriots Entertainment, People Organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of
Listen, what Mitchell revealed about Caitlin Clark was a stunning counter-narrative to all the media drama and speculation. She really emphasized Clark's humility, saying with so much conviction that Caitlin was never bigger than a program. This wasn't some player trying to take over everything or be bigger than anyone else in the locker room. Instead, Clark consistently showed she understood how to fit into a team and make sure they had chemistry. This direct, heartfelt testimony from a key veteran player immediately shattered that whole manufactured image of an ego clash. It revealed a surprisingly harmonious vibe inside the team that the public just hadn't seen.
People Organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make on the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff, is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than a program. I don't know if that makes sense, but it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know.
And get this, Kelsey Mitchell went even further. She highlighted how Clark's unique style of play actually complemented her game, and even Aaliyah Boston's. It wasn't just about individual talent. It was about this incredible, synergistic teamwork on the court. Mitchell also praised Clark's unwavering passion for basketball, noting it stayed the exact same whether she was playing or not, even when she was injured. This deep respect from a veteran player who honestly had every reason to feel overshadowed directly challenged every negative story spun about Clark's impact on team chemistry. It really showed a profound mutual admiration that completely defied all expectations.
That I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than a program. I don't know if that makes sense, but it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like she knows who she is. She comes in. She's gonna obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style.
What's more, the intimate details just kept coming. Mitchell described her relationship with Clark as being like my little sister. She openly shared that they both just love the game, constantly talking about basketball and even playfully trolling each other. This wasn't just professional respect, it was a real, genuine bond, a deep friendship that seemed to just blossom naturally, even with all that intense external pressure. It really exposed the huge difference between the warm, true locker room reality and all the cold, often fake, speculative drama pushed by some media outlets. The actual relationship shocker was truly how strong their bond really was.
Within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so, like, the one thing I love about Caitlin, too, is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Caitlin, when she didn't play compared to when she did play, remained the same. And, like, I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You know, you have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, you know, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to.
So this deep unity between the players totally stood out against what felt like a huge strategic mistake from the coaching staff and management. I mean, while Stephanie White's comments seemed to accidentally pit stars against each other by explicitly prioritizing one, the players themselves consistently showed a surprisingly united front. The real relationship shocker wasn't any conflict between players. It was this glaring disconnect between what was being said about the team publicly and what was genuinely happening within it. This huge gap in understanding created so much unnecessary tension, undermined the incredible talent they had, and just baffled fans.
The play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so, like, the one thing I love about Caitlin, too, is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Caitlin, when she didn't play compared to when she did play, remained the same. And, like, I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You know, you have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, you know, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to. And so I can respect the fact that she kept the program and she didn't let her passion for it.
And then the on-court chemistry between Clark and Mitchell, that was just undeniable. It proved their synergy wasn't just emotional, but strategically super powerful. Together, they clearly formed the most dangerous duo in the WNBA, a truly fearsome backcourt. Clark's deep shooting range, her incredible court vision, and elite passing just perfectly complemented Mitchell's instant offense scoring ability and explosive speed. They were formidable on their own, but combined, they were essentially unstoppable. This dynamic pairing maximized both their huge talents and absolutely terrified opposing defenses with their offensive firepower and fluid collaboration.
She absolutely gave it everything. Aaliyah Boston's production dropped off the map when Caitlin Clark finally went out, and that was it, because that catalyst was no longer there to feed Aaliyah Boston the ball, you know? So I think this team is better, generally speaking, probably with all three of them. I do. Whether or not Kelsey decides to stay, I don't know. It may be the number one priority for Amber Cox, but is it the number one priority for Kelsey Mitchell?
But it's not just Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlin Clark's huge impact extended way beyond her connection with Mitchell. Aaliyah Boston, for sure, thrived so much more when Caitlin Clark was in the lineup. She really benefited from this kind of Stockton and Malone dynamic, where Clark was constantly feeding her the ball in the best possible spots. What's crazy and really telling is that Boston's production just dropped off the map when Clark was sidelined due to injury. This stark contrast really highlighted Clark's foundational role. She wasn't just a scorer, she was the primary catalyst and facilitator. Absolutely crucial for the team's overall offense and Boston's individual success.
Clark, of course, longtime teammates at this point, relatively speaking, a couple of years into Caitlin Clark's WNBA career. Kelsey Mitchell is a free agent. I mean, that is a looming story for the Fever. So until she signs on the dotted line to return, that future remains at least part in question. You look, the entire league's future is in question when it comes to free agency for the most part. The Fever actually have more players locked up than most teams, considering Caitlin Clark is still on her deal, Aaliyah Boston is still on her deal, and Lexi Hull is a restricted free agent, meaning the Fever can.
And then, ironically, Kelsey Mitchell herself actually ramped up her production, really grinding to compensate when Clark eventually went out. She took on this immense, totally unsustainable scoring load. This aggressive effort, admirable as it was, tragically led to a serious health scare, where she had to be physically hauled off the court, visibly exhausted and in distress. It painfully highlighted the immense pressure put on Mitchell to carry the team when Clark wasn't there. It just proved how absolutely necessary their complementary roles were, and how much the team relied on both stars to thrive, really exposing their lack of depth.
Kelsey may want to be the number one on a different team. Now, I would tend to believe that from a branding standpoint, it's more valuable for her to be a number 2 on what could be America's team. And I thought it for sure it was America's team for a while. And I think as far as the WNBA goes, it is America's team. But until they get some management issues sorted out, you know, kind of got to kind of pull back on that.
Now, the conversation then shifted to Mitchell's upcoming free agency, which is a really critical moment for the team. While Amber Cox declared that re-signing Kelsey was their #1 priority, you have to wonder if it was truly Mitchell's #1 priority too. I mean, there's a strong argument for her to stay as the #2 on what could become America's team, just for the branding and exposure. But here's the thing. If management really failed to see Clark's central, transformative role and instead leaned into a different strategic direction, would Mitchell genuinely want to stay in a potentially mismanaged situation, even with all the friendships?
Should be. That was what Stephanie White talked about the other day that got the blowback. I mean, so many people missed the context of the question that was asked to her, which was about free agency and how could Kelsey Mitchell not be the #1 priority in free agency. And of course, they want to continue building around Kelsey Mitchell. They want to continue building around that core. But it's unmistakable what Caitlin Clark brings when she walks in the door. You see it on the floor, right? Like you see it, it's the reason for everything else. All of the rest comes because of that. All of the rest has been built on that.
On top of all that, beyond just the player dynamics and management decisions, a huge number of fans were absolutely furious with the Fever organization and even the broader WNBA over how Clark's injury was publicly handled. People accused the organization of basically stringing fans along, getting countless people to spend their hard-earned money on tickets, explicitly expecting to see her return, only for her to remain sidelined for a long, long time. This felt super shady and totally shattered trust. It created another devastating shocker, this time between the team and its loyal, paying supporters, whose patience was definitely wearing thin.
Because there's a lot of trust issues now between many Caitlin Clark fans and the organization because of how the injury was disclosed and handled and all that drama. I got to tell you right now, there is a massive portion of fans, and I'm not sure a lot of fans realize this, there's a massive portion of fans that are furious with the Indiana Fever and with the WNBA over how that injury was handled, and they kept stringing fans along. Fans are pissed off over that, and rightfully so.
Plus, these trust issues quickly spread to the entire upper management and coaching staff. The big question became, would the Fever truly realize they could be America's team and actually embrace that, especially after all these recent fumbles? This kind of organizational self-awareness was absolutely crucial for rebuilding fan confidence and really capitalizing on all this unprecedented attention. But with the injury debacle and Stephanie White's controversial comments, it felt like a super daunting, steep uphill battle. The disconnect just felt so obvious, making fans wonder if leadership truly understood the huge moment they were in.
All of the other things can be configured. And the thing that the Fever have that can't be made up or replicated is the complement of their all-stars. And that's why you see them complement each other when they're playing or complement each other when they're doing interviews.
But here's the thing. Despite all that external chaos and internal organizational mess-ups, the team itself actually seemed to bond through it all. Caitlin Clark's exit interview really reinforced this, with her citing friendship as a huge part of their foundation for remarkable resilience through a super challenging season. Kelsey Mitchell literally put herself on the line, giving absolutely everything she had on the court. That's a testament to her unwavering dedication to her teammates and the program, not just individual accolades. This strong internal bond kept them together, showing a resilience that defied all the external pressures and narratives. And the sheer undeniable talent on the roster, Caitlin Clark, first team All-Luzzy NBA, Aaliyah Boston, second team, and Kelsey Mitchell, first team, it all just made the whole internal strife story even more ridiculous. The reality was, they all liked each other, and they all fit each other's game on the floor. This trio was a formidable, complementary core, proving that the supposed relationship shocker between players was nothing more than a fabrication. It was a phantom conflict, manufactured by outside pressures and speculative media, totally obscuring the genuine camaraderie that actually existed. The real shocker wasn't a player feud at all. It was the incredible disconnect between all those external narratives and the actual internal team harmony. So while Stephanie White's comments sparked a huge controversy and the organization's handling of injuries alienated a massive fan base, the players themselves, led by Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, maintained genuine respect, deep friendship, and undeniable chemistry. The Fever's true challenge isn't their stars. It's whether management can finally build around a generational talent with a clear vision instead of just sowing seeds of perceived division and potentially jeopardizing the most exciting team in the league.